As you can see, we are back in the museum digs, and it's now pretty cold outside, which means that our birds here at the museum and at your homes are looking everywhere for yummy things to eat. So what do birds normally eat? Well, they eat insects, and they eat all different kinds of insects and bugs, and sometimes they'll eat like seeds and nuts. But right now, a lot of times in the winter, those things aren't available to them. So you might have a bird feeder at your house, and you might look out your window and see lots of beautiful winter birds. But, I mean, here at the museum, we have so many different kinds of birds. So many different kinds of birds. We have over 1,000 trees on our property, which means that's 1,000 homes, more than 1,000 homes for birds to live. So I am going to make a variety of really fun and also beautiful ways to feed your birds at in your backyard or out in your park or wherever you have available to you. So we are going to do a couple things. I know a lot of times you've probably made the pine cone in nut butter with bird seed. That is a great way to feed birds. But there are some other cool things that I want to show you that look really pretty and almost like a work of art hanging in your trees for the birds. So to begin, we are going to start. My first thing is they're kind of like bird seed hangers, and you can make them in all different kinds of shapes. If you have cookie cutters at your house, pull out your favorite cookie cutters. This is perfect for them. So I don't have cookie cutters here at the museum, so I'm just using rings from like one of these soup bowls, takeout soup bowls. I cut it off and I'm making like a circle shape, and then I also have like a jar lid. And so this will make round birdseed hangers to hang from our tree. So what you're gonna do is first you're gonna need like some kind of bowl and a spoon. You're also gonna need from the grocery store, this is an unflavored plain gelatin. It's not like Jell-O, but it's with the Jell-O. And it has no flavoring, no color, no nothing. It's just 100% gelatin. And it comes in paper packets like this. There's 4 in a box. And you're gonna need 2 of the paper packets. And so what I did is I dumped 2 paper packets into a bowl, and I put a half a cup of really hot boiling water on it. And I'm stirring it up until the clumps are all dissolved. So this is the part with the boiling water you'll need help with from a grown-up. But once you have the boiling water, you can help. Oh, whoops. I was about to say, literally say gently stir, and I splashed that gelatin out. So you can help gently stir until all the clumps are dissolved. And you'll see some recipes for this online that use corn syrup and other additives, and that's not super healthy for our birds, like just pure sugar. So this one is just gelatin, water, and birdseed. So then I have about 2 cups of mixed birdseed, and I'm gonna mix this into the gelatin. I'm gonna try mixing that first, and then I'll add more. It's like a thick bird seed stew. Would you eat a seedy Jell-O? Probably not, but you know what? The birds are gonna think this is delicious. And the extra fat in the gelatin is also really great for them in the winter time. Gives them lots of, it's very calorie dense. Which calories help keep birds warm in the wintertime. We can put on coats and hats and gloves and scarves and mittens and all kinds of winter gear. But birds, they still have their feathers. They might have some extra fluffy downy feathers underneath their feathers, but they need lots of high calorie food in the winter time to help them stay warm, because as the calories burn, it kind of warms up their body. So that is why a lot of times you'll see bird feeders out in the winter time, because just to give them a little bit of extra warmth. So now what I'm gonna do is I have my molds, and this is like a real, it's just like the seeds are wet, but there's not a lot of extra liquidy gelatin. Like the gelatin is just covering all the seeds. And so I'm gonna put that into our molds. I'm gonna fill it about halfway up, and I'm gonna use my spoon to spread it out. You can do all kinds of fun shapes. This, you can use all different kinds of seed mixes. This just happens to be just the basic bird seed that is good for wild birds. But I was at the store and there are so many different amazing kinds of bird seeds for different kinds of birds that you want to attract to your yard. And you know, birds are really cool because just like us, you know, I have a favorite food, and I bet you have a favorite food, and so do birds. So different foods that you put in your yard, which is what today's all about, is having all these different kinds of food for birds will attract different birds, because they're like, oh, that's my favorite kind of food. I want to make sure I get some of that. So depending on what you set out in your yard, you will attract new feathery friends. So now I've got that about halfway filled up, and I'm gonna take some twine and my scissors, and I'm gonna make a loop. You can tie it or you don't, or you can not tie it. It's up to you. I'm gonna go ahead and tie it. It's kind of big, and I'm just going to set the loop in the middle of my seeds here, and then I'm gonna pile seeds on top, another layer, and that will, when it dries, it will hold my loop of twine in there, so it makes a hanger that you can hang on your tree branch, or even like from a nail on your porch, wherever. So I'm gonna make a couple loops, put them in here. So now if you can see, I've got my twine just kind of sitting on top of my seeds, and I'm ready to take the rest of my seeds and cover up my twine. And so when this sets up, it'll get a little hard, and it should hold the twine in like a hanger. Now, I will say with these that you really need to put these out when you have a really cold day. You don't want to put these out on a day like today. It's like happens to be like close to 50 degrees, and you don't want to put these out on a warm day because the gelatin will fall apart, and then also it can like start to mold and get kind of gross. But these go so quickly. Once the birds find them, they'll eat them super quickly. But you'll want to save these for a day when it's really cold outside, and then the cold air will keep them intact and ready to go for the birds. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in the fridge or freezer, and I'm going to, they'll definitely need to set up at least 24 hours before you put them outside. And then I'll just pop these out of the rings, or I'll cut the ring off of them, and then I'll take it outside and hang them on my tree and make really beautiful hanging natural ornaments for our birds here at Philbrook. So what if you want to feed the birds, but you don't have a super cold day? So on a day like today, you can still feed the birds, but I'm gonna show you a different way to make a cool bird feeder. So what I've done is I've started with an orange, and we're gonna make a kind of like a garland. So you can make this, if you know, think about what a garland is, it's like a long piece, and it usually has things hanging off of it, and you can string it up from tree to tree, and almost like a curtain of all different kinds of yummy natural material, yummy foods just for our birds. You can also, if you don't have 2 trees, but you have 1 place to hang, you can do everything I'm gonna show you building off of a round hoop like this. Like this is an embroidery hoop. It can be any kind of shape, but you can build off of 1 shape so you only have 1 hook rather than hanging it between 2. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a really cute natural bird feeder from an orange. So I scraped out all the inside and I ate them for my snack of the yummy, delicious orange, but I made sure that I didn't tear the skin. So I want this to be like a little bowl for our birds. But I don't know if you've done this at your house, but one of my favorite things to do in the winter time is take, these are whole cloves, and I like to stick them into oranges, and they smell really good. And you might do them around like in December or whatever, but you can use like I have a needle here. This is a dull needle, but I'm gonna use a needle to kind of start my hole, and then you can stick a design. Like you could make a bird, you could just do some stripes, you can do all kinds of things. All right, so now I have just a really simple design in my orange peel. You can go simple, you can leave it out completely, or you can get really ornate with it. I just think it looks really festive and just really pretty. So now this is gonna be like a bowl. And what we're gonna do is we are going to, when I get ready to hang this up outside, I'm gonna add some of the same seed, and I'm gonna pour it right in here like a little, like a bowl of cereal for the birds, but it'll just be seeds and yumminess. But I do need to make a hanger. So over here, about a little bit of the ways down, I'm gonna make a hole. And I'm using, this is a plastic needle, and I use these a lot with kiddos, but even a lot in my own art making, just because they're so easy to use, and sometimes the metal needle works great, and sometimes the plastic needle works too. So I'm making some holes about maybe a third of the way down. I'm leaving enough room from the edge so that it doesn't like rip off when I get my holes in there. And then I'm gonna do it in all on 4 sides. Okay, so I have this little bowl and it's got my holes for the hanger, and I've got my twine. Now the thing here is you could totally just do 100%, just hang it up right like this with the twine. I am going to add some more snacks for our birds though. Because, you know, I like snacks, the birds like snacks, and this twine just seems like it needs a little, like, why, if you could put snacks on here, why wouldn't you? This is also great for little ones. This is a great way for little ones to help out, because what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pull off quite a bit of twine. This is probably more twine than I'll use, but on one side I strung it through the hole in the orange that I just made, and I tied a knot so it's not gonna come out. And then I'm gonna string on all these yummy snacks for birds. So I have a variety of awesome things that birds like to eat that also will look really beautiful. So I have in here, I have golden raisins. And then if yours raisins, you can use any kind of raisins, but if your raisins are hard, these are really soft because I just got them. But if your raisins are hard, you can soak them in a little bit of warm water for a little bit, just to make them softer for those birds to munch on. I also have these are peanuts. If you have a peanut allergy, obviously you don't need to use them, but it's really important if you do use peanuts to only use the peanuts that don't have any salt. So salt is not good for birds. So I'm using, these are a special peanut. I actually got them at the hardware store. They're for birds, but you can use any in the shell peanut as long as it doesn't have any salt or any flavorings or anything like that. It's just peanut. I also have some, birds love fruit, and that's something that they don't get a ton of in the wintertime especially, so I have some cranberries. We can string some cranberries on, and also plain old, nothing added Cheerios, or like, I don't know what the generic name for these are, circle cereal, Oreos. I'm not sure, but yeah, plain Cheerios. And you can set all of these out, and because like these, they already have a hole on them, they're really great to just use, especially with early learners or people who are working on their fine motor skills, to just string on the Cheerios. And you could do all Cheerios, or you could add on your needle, so you can work on patterns. You could also do, I don't have it here, ooh, very bright. You could do popped corn or popcorn, but the only thing is you want to make sure with your popcorn that you use popped corn that is, like if you pop it at your house, and it just has corn. So there's no, like no butter, no salt, none of that stuff. You just want the plain corn. So I might end up with about that much. And then I'll do that on all four sides, and then they'll come up together, and I'll tie them at the top. And I will have, and then this bottom part will be full of birdseed, and then the 4 strings will come together and tie at the top, and that will be a really pretty way to hang from a tree or from a nail. And all of these things on here are edible for birds. Most of them are edible for us too. Okay, and so then there's one more thing I want to show you, and then I'll show you what it, oh, don't gesture with knives, it's not safe. But there's one more thing that I want to show you, and then I'll show you it all put together out in our garden. So Like I said earlier, birds love fruit. And so I have an orange, my other half of my orange, and an apple. And I'm just gonna, with a grown-up can help you with this, cut some slices of my orange. I love this gorgeous, bright, sunshiny color. And then I'm also gonna slice my apple. Now, one thing I will say is birds cannot eat apple seeds. So as I slice my apple, I'm gonna make sure I get all of the apple seeds out of my apple. So now I've got some slices of apple, some slices of orange, and you can also use your twine. And I like making, if you don't want to make the like orange holder, just using twine and putting a bunch of peanuts and cranberries and raisins and popped corn if you have it, Cheerios, and string it up like you would like a garland, or you might put it on your Christmas tree if you celebrate Christmas, and just making really pretty strings. And then you can tie all the strings onto one big string so you have strings hanging down. So I'm gonna make an example and show you what I'm talking about. First I'm going to use my plastic needle, and I am going to string on and I'm going through twice. So then what happens is I had this orange that will dangle, and I'm gonna do that for all of my pieces of fruit. So then I have this really beautiful string of fruit that is just ready for birds to munch on. And then I might make another one that just has my leftover apple, because I don't want that to go to waste. I've got another orange slice, but I could also put in cranberries in that one as well. So let's try that one. And so I'm gonna finish several strands, and then I'm gonna tie them all to one big strand, and then we'll take it outside and I'll show you how beautiful it looks hanging out in our trees.
Hey guys, it's Jack here, one of the senior horticulturists here at Philbrook. And today we're going to be looking at something a little bit more interesting, dealing with a bug's life, and this particular bug is a Monarch Butterfly. So I'm sure everyone's seen these float around quite often. They're actually called a milkweed butterfly, and the reason that is because they like to get the nectar and lay their eggs on a specific type of plant, and that's a milkweed plant. The reason it is because the milkweed makes them poisonous to birds. So when birds eat them, they'll remember that that insect made them sick and they won't eat them ever again. They have many different life cycles. They'll have 4 actually complete life cycles that they'll go from Mexico or southern Texas all the way up into Canada. And then they'll actually have one last generation. It's called the super generation, that they'll actually travel close to 3,000 miles from the north back to the south. They travel about 50 miles a day. And if you can imagine being a small insect traveling 3,000 miles, it's quite a journey. And the super generation can live up to 8 months, as opposed to the previous 4 that can live only about 4 weeks. One of the other interesting facts about these is you've got to think they have to time their migration to coincide with the best conditions for nectar plants, which provide them food, but then also their host plants, which they lay their eggs on, which is how their caterpillars then pupate to become new butterflies so they continue their journey. And so if you think about it, quite amazing for a small insect to do that. If you guys look close at the bottom here, It has a double line of white dots. There's another butterfly that's very common. It's called a viceroy that mimics this monarch. Why? Because the birds know it's poisonous, so it won't get eaten. They only have single rows of dots. And then also their structure inside their wings is quite a bit different.
What's up, everybody? We're gonna talk about some edible stuff in one take. Ready? Go. Ginkgo biloba right here. This is a really good tree, very, very old, dates back like 200 million years. Dinosaurs used to eat this. Kind of a vitamin C-ish flavor, which you would associate with different plants like that. Really good for you, has great cognitive effects. Many, many studies, double blind. Supposed to lessen the symptoms of dementia, things like that. Let's go on to the next one. Green black walnut husk. There's a black walnut inside. Crack that open, let it dry out a little bit. You got some walnuts there. Next one, we got some spring onions here, wild onions, whatever you want to call them. Great smell, edible. You can eat these. Maybe don't spray them in your yard. You could eat them later. I don't know. Let's go on to the next one. Let's check it out. Fig tree. We just transplanted this, losing all of its leaves. It's still got some fruit on it. Let's cut these open. Look at that cross section. Super, super great. Super, super tasty. Very earthy and fruity at the same time. Great combination. Let's go into the next one. Radishes. Radishes are great. Every part of this plant is edible. Right here, we've got some immature flowers that are about to bloom. Super spicy. Let's pull this one out, see what it looks like. It's already bolted. There's a daikon radish, really white. Great fleshy root. Wonderful to eat, either cooked or raw. Next one, let's keep on moving. Oh, we still got some purple basil here. Really, really great. Makes a very brown pesto. I like using the greener ones for pestos, but this is really, really great. Extremely fragrant, going on really long into the growing season. Next one. Loofah gourds. These are really, really great. Long fruit here. We want to make sure that when we eat these, we get a really immature one. So even more immature than this, but the flowers are actually edible. Here's one of those flowers. Not bad, not great. Probably better fried. Pretty good though. This is one of our mustards. We're going to end on this one. This mustard here, getting eaten a little bit. However, good spice to it, really good flavor. Can be sauteed. Oh, there is that kick. Very much kind of like horseradish, but it's a wonderful green. Here's the Victory Garden. Hope you enjoyed it. Eat healthy.